God bless you with this opportunity. God allowed you to show up authentically in a space. He knows that you are the only woman that's going to be there. He knew that already. But he also knows that you're capable of getting it done. He knows that you are the one who's going to break barriers in this field. He knows that you are the one who's going to say no more stereotypes. He knows that you are the one who's going to call in other women to join this industry.
Welcome to She Self-Invested. I'm your host, Lodisha, and get ready to tune into your go-to podcast to feel empowered, to show up authentically feminine in male-dominated spaces, while prioritizing spiritual self-care. Let's invest into ourselves together, starting now.
Hello, ladies. Welcome to She Self-Invested. I'm your host, Lodisha, and I just have to say thank you so much for joining. It is so important to invest into ourselves, especially when we are starting a new career in a field where there isn't many people that look like you. And in our cases, it's women that looks like us. I remember my first experience being the only Black woman in the room in a field that specifically any field where I didn't have anyone to represent me. I was the only representation. So that's why today's episode is about how to overcome being the only woman in the room. First, before we get into today's episode, I want to remind you ladies to follow me on Instagram at She Self-Invested so that you can stay up to date with the new episodes and possible guest speakers that might be coming on the show. It's important for me to have different women with different perspectives in different fields so we all can just learn together. To be honest, ladies, the reason why I am so passionate about She Self-Invested is because I wish I would have had someone to tell me how to navigate the workplace. The only thing I will say, I remember when I was in film school, my teacher did say yeah, the film industry, it is heavily ran by men, specifically white men, but it didn't click to me that I was just going to be the only one in my field. I just thought, okay, well, that's fine. I mean, there are other in the film industry as well. That's not, to me, I didn't take it as, oh, I shouldn't join. I take it as, oh, okay, it's diverse, right? That's how I take it as, because I'm a little optimistic, y'all. Besides that, I wasn't prepared. And what's crazy is my last semester of college, I interned at this sound shop, right? And this is the very beginning this is my first experience of actually being the only woman in the room before I even entered the film industry. I remember walking into the shop and looking around, and these guys, when I say the guys are cool, they're so cool. Their energy was so welcoming to the fact that I didn't even realize that I was the only Black woman working there. I didn't even realize it because they created safety immediately. I didn't have a chance to think about what color they were, what color I was, how old I was. It didn't matter. They were very genuine and they were so informative, especially when it came to sound. I will say they prepared me really well when it came to the actual job. I learned how to solder cables. I learned how to wire up talent. They taught me the difference between live sound and film sound and what microphones you use for this. And I've learned how to boom. I've learned a good bit just by working at that shop. And even though I'm grateful for the experience, they couldn't have prepared me for what I was going to face working in the film industry because they, one, they're men, right? And they are the dominant people who work in the film industry, right? It's predominantly white male dominated. So I don't think that they thought about, oh, well, Lodisha's gonna be entering the sound department as a Black woman. Like, I don't think that. I just think they just cared about the job and getting me prepared. And I love that. And I'm so grateful for that experience. Now that I've shared my little origin story with you ladies, now it's time to get into how to overcome being the only woman in the room. First, we have to discuss the 3 C's you'll need to achieve this goal. This is my favorite one. Number 1, let's start with courage. This is number 1 personally for me because this is how I was able to stay in the film industry as a sound utility and the only Black woman in my department. Let's do story time, okay? I remember working at the shop. I mean, I had to have been there for at least a year. They were so adamant about getting me on the film sets. Like, they were just so passionate about it. Even if it's like the smallest opportunities, if I'm working on like a student film, like they would, hey, Lodisha, you want to get into this? Well, finally, I ended up saying yes to an opportunity to work on the student film. When I walked in, it was actually so cool. Now, don't get me wrong, like I worked on student films in film school, but it was different because it was for a grade. Like, this was actually, it was kind of for a grade for the person that was actually directing it. But besides that, it was fun. And I actually had like the chance to really be on set, even though it wasn't like a tier 1 movie. It doesn't matter. That was actually my first experience being on a set. It was not my own. That was not for a grade. It was cool. And I actually took it very seriously. And that's another thing, ladies. If you're asked to show up at an event, if someone asks you to do something outside of your comfort zone, if someone asks you to do something outside of your skill set, always say yes. That's where courage comes in at. It comes in where you have fear first, right? It's like, oh no, I don't know how to do that. And then there's faith, right? You have fear first, and then there's like that curiosity behind it, right? The minute I said yes to working on the student short film, it's like, I don't know, I felt something change. I don't know what it was, but something felt different and in a very good way. It's like I was more, like I just wanted to do more. I'm like, oh man, I wonder what it'd be like to work on an actual film set. Manifestation. For my ladies entering the film industry, this message is specifically for you. Because if you are, let's say this is your last semester of film school, you are trying to work in camera, props, makeup, sound, whatever, always remember that no job is too big or too small, especially when you are getting your feet wet. You want to have all the experience you can get. And personally for me, how I got in the door, but outside of me interning and working at a sound shop, it's because I said yes to something that was non-paid. I said yes to 1 student gig. Mind you, I've never worked on a film set outside of the short films I created in film school, outside of my friends, their short films. Never done it, right? The minute one of my mentors brought me that opportunity, I said yes. And by me saying yes, I had the actual real world experience of being on a movie set, right? I got to see how things worked, how people worked together. I got to see what it was like to mix in a bag and how to boom. It was an experience I needed. It was an experience that heightened my curiosity. And not only that, I told God, I said, you know what, God, I am ready. Because I feel like we don't get the experiences that we truly desire until we feel ready for them. And just because I said yes, literally the next couple of days, I received a text message saying, hey, I'll be in town these dates. I'm looking for a sound utility. Are you available? This, mind you, this was for a union film. specifically for my ladies entering the film industry, you know how big union jobs are. Especially if you are trying to join the film union, you need a certain amount of days, hours. It depends on your location, depends on what state you're in. Every state requires something different to join a film union. Keep that in mind. So when I was presented this opportunity, y'all, I was so excited. I'm like, what? I said this craziness to myself. I said, I don't have the film set experience. I just started panicking. And I'm like, Lodisha, didn't you just work on a student short film? See how quickly we could shortchange ourselves? And I'm like, yes, actually I did. You are still a novice in your field and it's okay. You know what? When I went back to the sound shop, my mentor, he was just smiling. He was smiling. And he was like, so what's up? And like, I just remember telling him about it. I was so excited. He asked me, he's like, so what are you going to do? Once he asked me, so are you going to take it? I thought about it and I said, yes, I will take it. Next, let's talk about curiosity. I have always asked questions my whole life. Used to think it was very annoying, but then I realized, hey, I'm just a nosy girl. Nothing wrong with that. But behind the scenes, me asking multiple questions, that was actually my superpower. Because believe it or not, I'm going to share a little secret with the besties. Asking questions and showing engagement have literally helped me receive promotions that experience alone couldn't get me. I mean, I just told you guys about how I landed my first film job. I didn't have any full-on real sound utility experience. I had zero. But it's because while I was at the shop, I asked questions. How does this work? Why do you use that? When I worked on that student film, even though it's a student film, I treated that like a high budget film. I took it seriously. I asked questions because I was so engaged and I cared about what I was learning. That showed that I was someone that was teachable. Being teachable is imperative. It is imperative, especially if you are trying to receive a promotion or maybe you're trying to switch jobs and switch careers and do something different. You need to always be curious. You should always be on top of new things that's going on in your field, right? For me, if I would have still continued to work in sound, that would have been me staying on top of gear or these headsets or whatever. It would have been me becoming an expert in my field. And that is important. That is how you grow. Being open-minded can show that you're easy to work with and willing to take direction in any moment during your work shift. It also highlights your team player skills and might even create opportunities for you to implement your own ideas in the future. Next is lifelong learning. Commit to lifelong learning, whether through formal education, if it's through conferences, meetings, film festivals, my ladies that work in film, networking opportunities. Always look for ways to expand your knowledge. Finally, let's talk about the most important C of all. It is confidence. Confidence. Oh my goodness, I can preach this for years. This is a topic I can talk nonstop about, especially because it took me so long to build my self-confidence. I did not always have this. Ladies, besties, please don't think your girl has just always been confident, because I have not, okay? Confidence takes some time. It takes a lot of self-belief. It takes self-assurance. It takes prayer. It takes growth, y'all. It takes time. Especially if you're one of my work besties in your early 20s, girlie, work on it now. So confidence is imperative. It is so important, especially when it comes to your career, especially when it comes to being the only woman who look like you in your field. You have to have confidence, because if you do not, you allow what people might say or think about you to dictate your job. You might allow what someone is saying to affect who you think you are. Like, self-image is important. Specifically for me, I had to build, you know what? Funny enough, God started preparing me spiritually before he blessed me physically with a film job. And the reason why I say that is because, like I mentioned, I had to work on my confidence. I had to work on my self-esteem. I had to work on self-talk. I had to work on all of these things. And legit, I want to say maybe like a year before I started working in film and started working at the sound shop, I was already like practicing positive self-talk, right? I was already talking to myself in the mirror. I was already doing affirmations. You know, guys, like babes, you know what I'm saying. I was already doing that. Naturally, as time went by, I believed every positive thing that I started telling myself, which is how I started showing up as confident, specifically because of my self-belief. Had I not had this, the minute I would have walked in a sound shop, I could have walked out, right? Because I didn't feel confident enough to be working at a place where there wasn't anyone who looked like me. If I was not confident enough, I wouldn't have been able to walk on that film set as the only woman who looked like me in my department. If I was not confident enough, I wouldn't even graduated film school the minute my teacher said that the industry that I'm entering is predominantly white male dominated. But it's because I had that confidence, I was able to overcome all of those obstacles and more. So besties, let's build our confidence now, like right now. It is the key to making your presence felt and your voice heard. Here are some tips on building and maintaining confidence. 1, know your stuff. Having deep knowledge of your field will help you bolster your confidence. Because think about it, like if someone come up to you and start mansplaining, oh, Lodisha, you don't supposed to hold the microphone like that. You gotta hold it like this. Now, if I didn't know what angle to hold it from, right? I would have been like, okay. But because I had that knowledge from my internship, I can say, oh, I feel comfortable holding it this way. Boom, that's confidence. It isn't being combative, it's being confident in my work. It's being confident in my skill. So besties, that's why it's important that you know your stuff in your field. Because if someone does come up to you and try to tell you how to do otherwise, you can say, no, I prefer this way. As long as it's correct, as long as you're getting the job done, as long as it's safe, keep doing it your way. That's where the confidence comes in. Always take every opportunity to learn and expand your expertise. Next is positive self-talk. Remind yourself of your achievements and capabilities. Also, replace negative thoughts with positive affirmations. Bestie, if you are a automotive technician, right? If you're a mechanic, I seen this really cool TikTok video. I really wish I remember this woman's name. She was showing, she was just doing a tutorial on how to properly bend your knees, and especially when you're putting on a tire. The minute I seen the video, I'm like, okay, yes, let's go, girl, okay. Because anything that I can't do, especially, y'all, babes, besties, I just need y'all to know, I love that y'all are killing it in male-dominated fields. I love that you are I'm getting that bag. I don't care about if I'm a woman or if I'm not. I'm going to follow my dreams, do what makes me happy. When I tell you, that was my first time ever seeing a female mechanic, and especially a black woman, especially as a black woman as a mechanic, I was literally yes! I was her biggest fan behind the screen. But anyways, as I go through the comments, nothing but men mansplaining. I don't know what it is. And I don't think every man do this. That's the thing. I've worked with so many men who've never mansplained to me. I probably have gotten mansplained at least a handful of times on both of my hands, but not that much. But the comment section, baby was on fire trying to correct her. And I'm like, what? And what's interesting is, and I loved about her so much, baby, she politely, confidently corrected them. She basically said, you know what? Thanks for your input, but this is how I do it. and I did it in a safe way. And she moved on and kept her peace. That's literally how you have to respond to ignorance. But also, her response showed that she had so much confidence in herself. She knew her capabilities so much that she said, you know what? I did it this way and it worked. Next. I love that. And besties, that's how we have to show up, okay? This is literally how we have to show up in our careers. We have to stand on business. I cannot believe I just said that. But we do. We have to stand on business when it comes to someone trying to correct us. Now, don't get me wrong. Always take feedback. I am big on feedback. I love learning. I love learning. You have to know the difference between when your coworker is mansplaining you and if he is giving you advice or suggestions. Always take suggestions. Always take advice. Always take feedback. Always take criticism. That's always my number one rule. But never take mansplaining. Because remember, bestie, you're capable. Your achievements, your degree, your certifications, your trainings, your workshops, your mentor says otherwise. Remember that. And that is how you show up confident while being the only woman in the room. And lastly, body language. Stand tall, make eye contact, and use open body gestures. Confident body language can help influence how others perceive you and how you feel about yourself. Babes, this is so important, especially if you are getting close to your first day on the job, your first day entering this male-dominated space. Baby, I need you to walk in head high, okay? Eye contact. Put your chest out a little bit. Slow stride it in there. I don't know. You need to come in like you own the room. You need to walk in there like you belong there, okay? You need to walk in how you feel about yourself. That's all it is. And that's why confident body language is important. When someone see you, they need to be like, oh, damn, how long you been doing this, right? They start asking how long you been doing it. You can be like, oh, this is my first day. They don't know that. But that body language, your body language is going to tell them otherwise because you believe in yourself. You believe in yourself that much that it does not matter if that is your first day on the job. You are there to get things done, even if you are the only woman in the room. By practicing proper body language, it can help the men on your team view you as a professional and an individual rather than just a typical woman. Because, babes, we're not that. If anything, we're superwoman. I believe that we're superwoman. Being able to have this kind of confidence, this kind of strength, this kind of level of self-belief, this kind of curiosity, having this kind of courage to show up in a space when there is no one look like you and still get the job done? Girl, you are superwoman, okay? Remember, this is your story. Not only are you the main character, you're the narrator of your story. You the screenwriter of your story. You writing this. So if you write, oh, I'm showing up 100% confident tomorrow at such and such time and this much date at this location, that's what you're going to do because you've written that for yourself. And not only did you write it, God written it for you. God bless you with this opportunity. God allowed you to show up authentically in a space. He knows that you are the only woman that's going to be there. He knew that already. But he also knows that you're capable of getting it done. He knows that you are the one who's going to break barriers in this field. He knows that you are the one who's going to say no more stereotypes. He knows that you are the one who's going to call in other women to join this industry because he knows that you are the representation that he sent. And you have to believe that God is on your side. God is confidence. Know that. Ladies, I hope that this episode has been powerful for you. I hope this episode have inspired you. I truly hope that this episode have reminded you of your power as a woman, your innate power that's deep inside of you. It is there. That voice, find it. Show up confident. Ask questions. Be courageous. Say yes. And that is how you're going to overcome being the only woman in the room. In today's episode of She Self-Invested, we tackled a topic close to my heart, overcoming the challenge of being the only woman in the room. I shared my journey from being the sole woman of color at a sound shop to preparing myself for the complexities of working in the male-dominated film industry. We explored the power of courage, curiosity, and confidence in navigating these spaces. Remember, courage helps you take the risk and face challenges head on. Curiosity drives growth and innovation, opening doors for new opportunities. And lastly, confidence. Confidence ensures you're seen and heard as the expert you are, bestie, supported by positive self-talk and strong body language. Thank you for joining me on this first step of our journey together. I hope today's insights inspire you to embrace your path with bravery, confidence, and curiosity. Don't forget to subscribe and tune in every Tuesday for more empowering discussions and practical advice. Next week, we'll dive into unmasking imposter syndrome, lies we tell ourselves. So stay tuned. Please remember to follow me on Instagram for updates at sheself_invested. Let's continue to invest in ourselves and uplift each other. Until then, besties, keep shining and showing up authentically you. See you next week on She Self Invested.